good spikes make a bad runner good. Rank the Canada 4x1 at basketball. Will Usain Bolt's world records be broken within the next 5 years? Are you the actor for A-Train? Maybe. What's good? What's good? Welcome back to another episode of Kingsley TV. My name is Aaron Kingsley Brown and I post videos about the track and field experience and my life as a professional sprinter. So if you vibe with that, consider hitting that subscribe button and join me on the way to 10,000 subscribers. Join me on the way to 10,000 subscribers.
Join me on the way to 10,000 subscribers.
What's good? What's good? It's AB from the future. I'm just finishing up wrapping up the edit for this video and I realized I hit that 10,000 subscriber marker. So I want to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you who have subscribed and joined me on the way from 0 to 10,000 subscribers. It's much appreciated and the channel wouldn't be what it is without you guys, so I appreciate you. And to celebrate this milestone, there will be a 10K giveaway, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, watch all my content, and join me on the way to 25,000 subscribers. Anyway, I want to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you for subscribing. Now let's get back to this Q&A. So you guys remember a little while back when I posted that Q&A video? Well, turns out I didn't get to all the questions. As many as there were that I did answer, there are quite a few that I missed. So today's episode is part 2 of the Q&A and we're gonna jump right into it. We got a lot more questions, so buckle up. Is it worth buying Maxflies in high school? It depends. If you're trying to buy it to substantially increase your time, I don't think so. If you're a runner that's seasoned and you've been running for a while and your technique is pretty good, I definitely think you should go ahead and grab a pair. It could take you to the next level and give you a small amount of advantage. But if you don't know how to run yet, I would definitely suggest another spike, maybe the Superfly Elite 2s, one that you could feel connected to the track a little bit more and learn how to run properly before you get in the Maxflies, because they can help you if you run right. If you run wrong, they could be a detriment. How do you improve your turns in the 200 meters? Well, like I always say, I'm not a coach, so I don't give technical details like that because that's more of a coach's wheelhouse and I don't want to mess you guys up. One thing I can say as a tip for you guys is to run straight. A lot of people bend into the turn. Quickest way to go is forward. So the more square you are around the turn and just turn like this and accept the turn and allow you to whip off the turn, that's gonna give you more speed going around the turn versus bending and leaning over. You're not gonna be in the most advantageous positioning going around the turn if you're bending into it and dipping the shoulder. And good spikes make a bad runner good? No, that's a great question. It is not the shoes like they say in that Michael Jordan commercial where they're talking about the Jordans and say it has to be the shoes. It is definitely not the shoes. The shoes are a supplement to what the runner is doing. The runner makes the shoes fast, not the other way around. Which distance do you feel is your strength, the 100 meters or 200 meters? I'll definitely go with the 200 meters. That's been my staple throughout my career. I've kind of been typecasted and they always throw me in the 200 meters over the 100 meters and it's a lot harder for me to get a lane in the 100 meters because they don't really respect me as much, and meet promoters are always throwing me in the 200. Even when I want to run the 100 meters, they might say, hey, we got a lane for you in the 200. Throughout my career, I've been world ranked. That means top 10 in the world the past 5 seasons in the 200 meters. But I definitely feel like my skill set is better suited for the 200 meters just based on the way that I am physically. I'm a taller sprinter and I can run really well around the curve, so I'll definitely have to say the 200 meters. But throughout my career, I'm still trying to learn the 100 meters and get better at that and try to balance out and be a dual threat in both the 100 and 200. Have you always been anchor in the 4x1? Let's see. No. If you know my career, then you know I've medaled in different positions. Most recently, I ran first leg. For a long time, I was the second leg on the backstretch. There have been some times in the 4x1 where I've ran anchor, but for the most part, I've been running different positions all my career, mostly on the backstretch. But I'm versatile, man. I can switch it up. You can throw me in any position. I haven't ran third leg yet, but if that opportunity comes, I'm ready for it. I'm gonna step in and do my thing. But yeah, I haven't always been anchor. I have medals in different positions. First leg, second leg, anchor, you name it. Last question, which part of your race do you feel needs improvement? Well, I've talked about this several times. If you want to check out the video where I go over this, then click this video right here and you can see where I think I need to improve. But basically, just to sum it up, in the 100 meters, it's my transition phase, trying to come out of my drive, which I do really, really well and I've gotten really good at this past season. Just being able to tie that together with coming through my drive phase, coming up, spinning, and then when I get up into my running, there's no hitch and no pause. In the 200 meters, it's that last 50. We all know that if you've been watching my career. I need to execute better and I have done it sometimes. I've just been hit or miss and I need to do it when I have a really good curve and be able to hold it and sustain that speed. Is it hard sometimes to choose not to create content and just live in the moment? That's a good question. I think it is, but at the same time, it's not, because it's a lot of work having to film myself and create the content, having to always think through things, what the audience wants to see, how I can best capture a moment, how I can get the right angle, how I can can tell the story. All that stuff goes into it. It's a lot of brain work, it's a lot of filming, it's a lot of editing, and it is a lot of work. So I do get in situations where I feel like, damn, this would be a really nice moment to capture, but at the same time, I know it's a lot of work, so it's nice to just turn off the brain and focus on other things in my life. It's especially tough when I know you guys would want to see some stuff that I go through, but I gotta live my life sometimes, so gotta turn that camera off every now and then. Can you see the athletes you have on your present 4x1 relay team do a 4x2? Absolutely. We're 4x2 World Relay Champions in 2017 with myself, Andre DeGrasse, Gavin Smelly, and Brendan Rodney. And if we sub out Gavin and put in Jerome, I think we can go even faster. No shade to Gavin, but Jerome did run 20 flat. And right now as it stands, we are the 4 fastest Canadians of all time. So you put us on the track together, we were really good already in the 4x2, but with us 4, I really think we could challenge that world record. So stay tuned for that at the next World Relay. Will you be doing a travel log on the Worlds and on your next couple of meets? Well, you already know the answer to that since this is past questions. I didn't do a travel vlog at Worlds, but I did do my reaction videos. If you want to see those, I'll link them right here for each of the events that I did in Eugene. And I also did more vlogs, so I did a Budapest vlog and a Monaco vlog, and you can check those ones out here in this playlist, but we're gonna keep it moving right along. Rank the Canada 4x1 at basketball. Ooh, this is a good one. So I'm gonna go in descending order. 4th place, Jerome Blake. He's terrible. I'll lock him up. He knows this. Keep him off the basketball court. He plays like he's still fresh out of Jamaica, okay? He can't dribble, can't shoot, keep him off the court. He's better in other sports. 2nd and 3rd is gonna be a toss-up between Andre and Brendan. Both of them played OBA basketball, which is the Ontario Basketball Association. I also played myself, but I know both of them can hoop and they're actually respectable. I'm gonna go with Brendan in 3rd, just because I saw Andre play most recently. He played in the All-Star game and did his thing, represented track and field. So I'm gonna go Andre 2nd, Brendan 3rd, and I'm gonna put myself 1st, of course. I mean, come on. I got the jersey on. What more do you need? Dame time, baby. Do you get nervous before a big final? I do, and that's because it's natural. You know, when you're in a big moment, you can sense that. There's a lot of pressure and tension in the call room, especially after you warm up and you all go into the call room. We collect all the top athletes in the world and we're vying for those medals and going for the win. Definitely a very, very tense moment. And I think anybody feels nervous in those moments, whether you're the top dog or you're the hungry upcomer. You definitely feel the vibes in the room and you know it's a big moment. This is what you train for all year, and when it finally comes, it's definitely nerve-wracking. But at the same time, you have to learn how to mitigate your nervousness, how to put that to the side, put the fear to the side, and get the job done anyways. How best do you mentally prepare for the major championships? Honestly, that's up to my coach to put together the training plan, and I just follow it to the T. I trust in him, I believe in him, and I work hard day in and day out, all leading into the World Championships. So you kind of work backwards. You say, what's your goal there? And in order to achieve that goal, you have to make sure you put in the work leading up to it. So you want to peak, you don't want to overtrain and overcompete around the world. You have to pick your spots where you're peaking and spots where you're resting. Make sure that you're primed and ready to go by the time the World Championships runs around so that you can prepare and be ready to go to battle. How long have you had a Nike sponsorship? This is going to be my 8th and 9th year having a Nike sponsorship. I officially signed in 2014 and we're going into 2023. So I've been a Nike athlete my entire pro career. I'm very fortunate, very blessed, and very thankful. Thank you, Nike. It's been a great partnership and I'm looking to continue to do big things with Nike as my partner. What's an underrated aspect of competing? I think an underrated aspect of competing is definitely resiliency. Everyone focuses on the wins and all the highs and what you do in order to get to the top of the mountain, but being able to be resilient when nothing's going right and you're injured or you're just having bad races or just facing tough competition, that resiliency is what's gonna get you there and get you back in the game. And eventually you'll right the wrongs, you'll get healthy again, and you'll start having some better luck in the races, but you won't get there unless you stay resilient and weather the storm through the tough parts. So I think that's an underrated aspect. Everyone focuses on the highs and the glory and all the wins and all the stuff. They don't think too much about the stuff you needed to endure in order to give yourself an opportunity to compete for those wins again. Who is an inspiration to you and why? From Great Britain. I think that's what that means. An inspiration to me, honestly, is you guys, you know, the audience. I want to set an example for you guys, make sure that I go out there and represent myself, representing the Kingsley TV fam in the right way, letting you guys know what's possible if you put your mind to it, work hard. And I can't put out motivational stuff if I don't go out there and set the example for you guys. So I definitely definitely think about you guys when I'm out there running. And of course, my family, my son in particular. I want to be a role model for him and set a legacy, something for him to live up to. And those are my biggest inspirations these days, trying to build my brand and also represent my family in the best way possible. And in case you meant who is an athlete inspiration for me, like someone I look up to, I'll definitely say LeBron James. King James has been doing his thing his entire career. He lived up to the hype and the pressure that they put on him, and he still gets a lot of haters, a lot of doubters, but he continues to deliver, over-delivered on the expectations that were heated on him. He had the most pressure on him since day one that he came into the league, and I just love the way that he's handled his adversity. He hasn't always been perfect, but he's come through, and I think he's the GOAT, and that's an inspiration for me because he shows what that mental resilience is all about, which is what I spoke about earlier when I spoke about an underrated aspect of competition. Besides talent, what in your opinion separates 10.5 sprinters from 10.0 sprinters? Well, talent is obviously a huge part, genetics and all that good stuff. Technique is a big one too, making sure that you're doing the right thing through each phase and maximizing each phase as you go through it, because if you rush one part, you're gonna throw off the entire race. But beyond that, man, I really think it's the mental. A huge part is believing that you can go faster and that you are capable of competing with the best that are out there. And in order to get down there, you have to be able to execute under pressure. A lot of people can run really, really fast in practice when there's no stakes and nobody's around you, but how are you gonna handle that pressure when there's people around you who are running just as fast as you or faster? A big difference between a 10.5 and a 10.0 sprinter is their mentality and how they approach it, being able to execute flawlessly and have great technique all the way through the tape. That's how you get to those deep times. What would you have done if your bag had never arrived? He's referring to my vlog, which you can check out right here. It's my Budapest and Monaco vlogs where they lost my bags in the airlines. So basically I would have been good. I had my outfits already, my competition gear was ready, I had my spikes, and that's all you need to race. So at the end of the day, if I was uncomfortable off the track, at least I had what I needed to make money and to compete in the race, which is why I always recommend to put your competition gear and your spikes and everything you need on race day in order for you to compete in your carry-on bag, because you never know what's gonna happen to your checked baggage. Especially when you're going overseas and you have a lot of connects. Trust me, learn from my experiences. And go watch that vlog. It's a good one, right here. Funniest moment at a competition. There have been a lot of moments throughout my career and it's really hard to pinpoint one, but one that comes to the top of my mind is my first race at USC. I was very nervous. It was my first run out. It was a 4x4 at a local meet somewhere in Long Beach, I think, or Cal Poly, one of those places. Somewhere local, nothing big. And I was getting ready to run the 4x4. I was the anchor for my team and everyone was going around. I'm getting nervous. I'm pacing back and forth. Because it was a little bit chilly out, I wanted to make sure I stayed warm, so I had my layers on. I have my shirt on and I'm getting ready to take it off. And as I was getting ready to run the anchor, the third leg's coming around. I'm like, okay, let's strip down, let's get ready, let's go on the track. I take off my shirt, lo and behold, I forgot to put on my uniform. So I ran the entire race with a shirt on. That was my first race ever at USC. So kicking off my career at USC with a bang by running my 4x4 relay, the first one I've ever ran in a t-shirt. So that was pretty funny and kind of embarrassing at the same time. What was the hardest part about starting your career in track? Honestly, at this point, I think the hardest part is just there's no guarantees in the sport. If you look at a sport like the NBA or the NFL or soccer, whatever the case may be, their contracts usually have guarantees. In track and field, it's year by year and sometimes meet by meet. If you have a poor race, you might not get invited to the next one. They might replace you with someone else and fill that lane. Because there's only 8 or 9 lanes on the track at one time in the sprints, you can definitely be replaced. So you have to keep a high level of excellence up in order to keep opening up those lanes and having those opportunities. And then of course with a shoe contract, there's no more money added to the pot. So you're competing against other people who are up and coming and people who are above you year in and year out. And you have to make sure that you're in a good position to keep your money and to increase it rather than have it decrease. How do you decide which events to go to? How do you peak for an event? I decide which events to go to based on my schedule, and I line that up with my agent and my coach. We have a plan and we're trying to peak at the right moment, which is always the World Championships or Olympics if that's in the calendar that year. But other than that, I want to put my best foot forward at every meet that I go to, because like I said, if you have a bad showing or a bad race, that reflects bad on you and you might not get invited the next time out, or other meet promoters might not want to invite you, might go with somebody else who's similar to you in stature. But I choose my meets based on my coach and my agent who work simultaneously so that we're running enough meets that I can make money, but also getting enough time to train and practice at home, because we're trying to peak at the right time. And usually that's for the World Championships or the Olympics. And that's also how we peak. We choose our races, we race enough so we can get race sharp, but also practice enough so that we're trained and working on the things that we're doing wrong and we need correction for. Make sure that we're giving the body enough rest. We're not just traveling all over the world. You gotta recover, make sure you get some downtime, get back back in your familiar zone with your physios and your coach and your training partners and all that good stuff. Maximize yourself and then go back, hit the road again, compete it a little bit more, make sure that you're hitting times and you're feeling fast enough and confident enough to go into the World Championships peaked, primed, and ready to go. When are the newer version of the Maxflies coming out that hopefully don't burst? I don't know. I think next year, word on the street that I heard was that they're working on a Maxfly spike for the turn, for the 200, which I would definitely try out. If you haven't seen my Maxfly for a Superfly video, check that one out right here. But I go over how I only wear the Maxflies in the 100 meters because they're not so stable going around the turn, at least for me as a runner in the way that I turn over and run throughout the curve. I need to have more connection and feel connected to the track when I go around the turn based on the way that I run. But I've heard that they're working on a spike that puts a plate on the side of the spike that helps you to stabilize in the turn. And I definitely want to try those out. So stay tuned for those. I'm pretty sure they're coming out next year, but I'm not 100% certain. How do you warm up and cool down between races on the same day? So usually if I'm running multiple rounds in the same day, I'll have a plan, and depending on how much time I have in between, I'll try and kick my feet up between races, make sure I get like some type of protein back in my body so I can recover. So whether that's a bar or a fruit or something like that, something light that's not too heavy so I can still run, but at the same time it's giving me nutrition and I'm recovering. But I keep my headphones in, got my playlist going, calm my body down. I want to get on the table, and if I have a physio with me, definitely making sure they're shaking the legs out and running through anything that feels tight, making sure I'm all good. Not too much, not too heavy work, so I tire my legs out, but at the same time I want to make sure that they get any kinks out. And really it's just kicking your feet up, relaxing, getting the mind right, and getting in the zone. I love going multiple rounds in the same day. That's usually when I run my fastest because the body's warmed up and ready to go. And all you got to do is make sure you don't do too much so that you're tired out for the next round. Does talent or hard work win? I think a combination of both. I think the sweet spot is having talented people work hard. Simple as that. What changes and upgrades would you expect to see in track and field in 30 years? I hope the sport is a very completely different sport in 30 years. I feel like it's going to be completely different. It's just going to have to. If you don't adapt to what's going into the future, that's when the sport's going to disappear and fizzle out, honestly. So I definitely feel like someone's going to come along with a bigger vision that'll take track to the next level. I want to see a completely different sport on the pro level. To me, I would go with more one-on-ones and calling people out, kind of like a UFC type of thing. Have races like how they had with Donovan Bailey and Michael Johnson. More of those head-to-head competitions, or try to figure out a way to actually do a team sport dynamic. A lot of business owners have tried and haven't been successful with it, hasn't lasted, but I feel like there's a formula for it. There's a lot of things we could try in the sport, and honestly, I'll get to that in another video. Let's keep it moving. Will Usain Bolt's world records be broken within the next 5 years? I think so. People are getting really close to them. 958, that one is a little tough and people are a little bit farther away, but I think the 201 is definitely going to get broken soon, and people don't see it coming until it happens, but I definitely see the writing on the wall, and I could see an athlete coming close to it, and if not breaking it in the next 5 years for sure. How do you deal with a race mentally? A lot of things go into that. Preparing visually, seeing yourself do well is a good thing to do before a race. Visualize yourself being successful and executing in the way that you want to, so that by the time you go there, you feel like you've ran the race before because you've done it so many times over and over in your head, and you've rehearsed it, and then your body just has to follow and execute on game day. What are your goals? Check out this video right here. I just went over my goals, so I won't waste time talking about it in this video. No pun intended. More watermelon, harmful for runners? I have no idea. I haven't heard about that. Maybe there's some study out there that you can look at, but as far as I know, I don't think watermelon is bad for runners. It's definitely not the best. It's full of water. It's not the most nutritious thing you can eat, but I don't think it's harmful. Best diet nutrition for runners. I'll have to do that in a future video. It's too hard to wrap up in this Q&A video, but like I said earlier, you want your veggies, you want your carbs, you want your meats, proteins, nuts, vegetables, fruits, all that good stuff. Anything that's nutritious, it's usually going to be a good thing for runners to have. You just want to have it in moderation, make sure that you're timing it throughout the day so that you're eating at the right times and recovering and not getting too bloated and too heavy. How to train my upper body as a sprinter? Get in the gym, find a coach that can give you a weight training program, and go lift. Do you still get nervous before a race? Answered that one already, so we're gonna keep it moving. The short answer is yes, but let's keep going. What is your most defining moment? I don't think I have one, and I think I have many moments that have made up my career, but not one just stands out singularly. I still am chasing that one grand moment where I could look back and say that is my defining moment, but I haven't found it yet, and I'm still hungry and still competing, looking for that moment, and I'll know it when it comes. Can you do a Nike giveaway? I just did one when I did my Nike unboxing video. If you haven't seen it, you can check out this video right here, but I do giveaways all the time, so stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and keep watching my videos all the way through because you never know when I'm gonna throw in another Nike giveaway. Workout split. I have no idea what that means, so I'm just gonna keep going. When did you begin the athletics? I started running when I was young just for fun, and I was doing all kinds of different sports. I did track, I did volleyball, I did basketball, I did football, I did soccer, and track was just another sport that I did just because I was athletic and I like to have fun and compete. I didn't start taking track very serious until 11th grade in high school, and that's when I really took off and got noticed by colleges. Strongman Sir You. Is that a Yoda impression? That's a Yoda impression, right? Like this, I do. That was my Yoda impression. You're 100 meters or 200 meters in your 16 years. I think you mean what I run at age 16. Back then, age 16 is around grade 10, and back then my PR was 22 flat and 10.73. So around there is what I ran at age 16 when I was just starting out, and that was right before I actually started taking track seriously. So those are my PRs back then. How old were you when you started running? Congratulations, by the way. I don't know what you're congratulating for, but I'll take it anyway, so thank you. But like I said, I was in grade 11 when I started running competitively for the first time and actually training. So that's when I actually started running and competing on the world stage and stuff like that. But before then, I would run for fun, just stay active. I would do all kinds of sports, but I wanted to just burn energy, run around, and I thought it was fun to just race people. And that was back when I didn't have any technique or know any about blocks or spikes or any of that good stuff. I was really just running. I didn't even pay attention to my time that I ran. I was just running to win. What do you do about your nerves? Do you get nervous? I've already answered that. I do get nervous, and I think it's natural to get nervous. It just means that you care about your performance and what you're about to do. The key is not to let your nerves prevent you from going out there and competing to the best of your ability. You want to feel the fear and do it anyways. Go out there, run. You have nothing to lose. This is entertainment. This is for fun. Don't take it too seriously. It's not life or death. You'll be fine if you don't compete to the best of your ability of that day. Just go back, reflect, compete, reflect, like I said. Learn from your mistakes, get back up and keep trying, keep racing. How do you decide which local meets you'd like to participate in? Generally, I go where my coach wants us to go in the beginning of the season, which is when we're running locally. So if it's somewhere in Florida, that's typically a good track like the NTC or my home track, I'll just go there because I know it's going to be good times, good competition. So I basically just look at where the tracks are fast, where they have a good reputation of having a good meet, where my teammates are going, where my coach is going to be, where my wife and son can come watch me. That's what goes into the decision when I'm racing locally. Now, obviously, if they have money in a local meet, I'm definitely going to gravitate towards that because this is a business and I'm a professional athlete, so gotta make an income. What are the things in your run you are working on that you can still improve after that long in the sport? The beautiful thing about track and field is that there's always room for improvement. When you're racing the clock, you can always get faster. You never know what your ceiling is, so you can keep improving, honing in on little things, strengthening up your diet, getting more strength, competing better, getting stronger mentally, working on your technique. You're never perfect, and there's never that perfect race. You can always get better. So even at this age and being in the game for 8-9 years, you know, I'm still improving and still looking for ways to get better, and I'm just not gonna stop. How many spikes do you advise athletes travel with? I always travel with 2 and sometimes 3 spikes, especially if I'm switching between events and I'm running the 1 and 2 and I'm wearing the Superfly Elite 2s and the Maxfly spikes. I'll try and have 3 or 4 if that's the case. If I would know I'm only doing the 200, I'll have 2. 1 will be a practice spike and 1 will be my race spike. And I know if I'm gonna be doing many competitions, I'll try to have 3. So if 1 dulls out, I'll switch that to a practice spike and then have a fresh pair of spikes when I'm competing. If you could run for any other country, which would it be? That's a good question. I actually have other countries that I could run for. I could theoretically run for Jamaica because my dad's Jamaican. I could run for Barbados because my mom is Bajan. And I can run for Great Britain because my mom was born in Great Britain. And so if I had to answer, I'd probably say Great Britain just because they have a good track culture out there. Sprinting is really good over there and strong. They have a great team, so a good quartet. With the 4x1, we would do damage. And the fans are really appreciative over there. I love running in London, and I could see myself living in London if that was what I needed to do to compete there. And yeah, that's probably what I would go with. My second pick would probably be Jamaica because they have a strong culture of sprints over there as well. And so I'd fit in right with all the other guys that are competing for Jamaica. Either one of those two, I can't go wrong. They have great teams, great squads, great 4x1s, great legacies, all that stuff. I just feel like the money opportunity would be better in Great Britain, and I'd have more sponsor opportunity, and it's a better scene for that business-wise, but either one, I would choose. What is your training split? Training and lifting split. I think I got that question earlier. I don't know what you mean by splits. If you mean what's my schedule, I train 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, sometimes 6 heavy in the year, and 7 sometimes, but mostly 5 days a week, and I lift 4 days a week. Monday, Thursday is upper body, Tuesday, Friday is lower body. Don't know if that's what you meant by splits, but yeah. What stuff you have to get for a competition? If you mean what stuff that I use for a competition equipment-wise, I have all the stuff that Nike sends me in my shipments, and if you want to see one of those videos, check out one of my unboxing videos. I'll link that right here. But in terms of stuff that I use for my competition, spikes, of course, my uniform, of course, my headband or or glasses, one of the two, depending on my mood and where we're at. Typically during the Diamond League season and regular season races, I'm wearing my headband. When we get to World Championship or Olympic time, it's time for the shades. But other than that, man, there's not much that you really need to compete. That's the beauty of track and field. Just your warm-up outfit to stay warm, and then you're good to go. Spikes, uniform, any other accessories, bam, go run. What is the price you get when you win the Olympics, World Athletics, Diamond League? So, unfortunately, the Olympics pay $0. You get the exposure and publicity of having the world watching you, which in turn, if you're a popular athlete or one that's marketed well and you're well positioned with a good marketing agency and all that stuff, you can procure some sponsors, which will then pay you. Or if you have a shoe contract, you have a lot of incentives to run really well at those meets. So if you go out there and win, you definitely have a bonus structure that'll pay you very handsomely, but the Olympics itself do not pay. The World Championships, on the other hand, which is why I feel like those should be a bigger deal, they do pay you, and the pay structure varies depending on how you place. If it's a relay versus an individual event, the pay structure changes, but you do get a pretty good payday there. And then the Diamond League, of course, you have a descending order based on how you place. And the Diamond League final gives you a premium versus the regular Diamond League meets. You get 30,000 for the win at the Diamond League final, all the way down to about 2,000-ish. And a regular meet, you go from 10,000 for the win, all the way down to about $1,000 or $500. I can't remember what it is. And you also have incentives in your shoe contract if you put that in, depending on how you perform at each of those races, Diamond Leagues, World Championships, and Olympics. Are you the actor for A-Train? Maybe.
A-Train is the fleet feet, saving lives, no surprise like a speed seat. The saxophone, who ain't dope? I cracked the code. Holds a crown with no opposition.
No, I'm not. But it's funny. I posted a video that I'll put right here on my Instagram, and a lot of people said the same thing. Am I the actor for A-Train? I've never gotten that before. I've seen The Boys, and I didn't think I looked like him, but I guess maybe when I put the shades on, and he does run fast, so maybe people get those vibes. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I'm go with a good thing, maybe. I don't think he's a bad-looking dude, so I guess that's cool. But no, I'm not the actor. But maybe if they want a stunt double who actually knows how to run and have good technique, hit me up, hit your boy. Get my IMBD going. What things did you get from the Olympics for free? So the Olympics has several sponsors that are Olympic sponsors, and every time we go to the Olympics, they give us some stuff from those sponsors. So typically you get stuff from like Samsung, for example, which is a phone. So each of the Olympics that I've been to, I got a new Samsung Galaxy phone, which is kind of cool. And then all kinds of different clothes that you get from your clothing sponsor, depending on what country you represent. They give you different clothes, and of course the workout gear to run in when you compete. So lots of free stuff, lots of free food, and all the sponsors that sponsor the Olympics give the athletes some stuff that they can take with them. In lieu of paying us, I'd rather have the money. I guess something is better than nothing, so they do give us some free stuff, and it's pretty cool to go away with that. The money would be better. Pay the athletes, come on. It's 2023, man. Let's change this. What's good, what's good? It's AB again from the future. Hope you guys have enjoyed this Q&A. If you have, you're in luck, because there's too many questions to fit in this video, so there's gonna be a part 3. If you want to know the answer to questions like best advice to a young sprinter aged 13 to 18, should you curve your blocks in the 200 meters and 400 meters, and what's some of the worst and best things you can eat as a runner, then click over to this video right here for the third and final part of this Q&A. And if you haven't already noticed, I'm standing beside some Nike boxes, which means another unboxing is on the way, so stay tuned for that and details for the 10K subscriber giveaway. I'll see you in part 3.